Good morning, good afternoon, evening, whatever it is for you. Today, I'm so glad you've joined me because I am going to talk a little bit about Psalm 102, one of the verses in particular, but a few of the others. And at the end, the last part, I'm going to try to show you how to draw an owl. Now, I'm no expert at drawing an owl, so I'm just going to show you what I learned today by just going on Pinterest and getting some ideas from a whole slew of pictures of owls. So we'll see how I can do with this. Now, this is called like an owl of the desert because in Psalm 102, it talks about that. Well, if you read it in the King James, it talks about a pelican. And I'll explain what that is in a minute. Okay? So, what it is that the psalmist starts off praying and crying out to God because he's just distressed by the things that are going on in his life. And so if you have things that are going on in your life, you may be able to identify with this. And if you don't, just save it for when you do, because we all know that in our lives we'll have things that happen that aren't so good. So I'm going to read, it says, "Hear my prayer, O Lord, let my cry come to you." This is the ESV. And the different things that are happening that are bad. And then I'm going to read the verse that I am getting this all from. "I am like a desert owl of the wilderness," or a pelican, just a bird, but I'm focusing on the owl because of things about the owl that I identify with. "I am like a desert owl of the wilderness, like an owl of the waste places. I lie awake. I am like a lonely sparrow on the housetop." So to start you off, sorry about the clash. So I drew, nope, wrong picture. Okay, there is the owl I drew. And then you see the little bird. It's not really a sparrow, but it's a bird on top of a house. And I have that clipboard there. That noise is a clipboard that I keep bumping into. So I hope you can get a lot out of this. Okay, so this psalm, if I was to go into it in depth, which I can't because it would take too long, and I can't because I didn't have the time to study it all out completely, which I'm sure you understand because we're moms, grandmas, women, and we have so much on our plate because women are the ones who serve their family and the people that live in their homes. And if they don't have anybody but themselves living in their home because of the stage of life they're in, tech, we tend to go out and to serve people outside our home, at church or people we know. So this psalm has 11 examples of similes um, in 28 verses. Okay. Now, if you don't or you forgot what a simile is something like an owl that is describing something that we understand and or using that to bring out, in this case, biblical truth. And so we're just looking at one of the similes in Psalm 102:6, okay, where it says, "I am like a desert owl of the wilderness, like an owl of the waste places." And then it says, "I lie awake." So how many times as a woman do you lie awake, either before you go to sleep or you wake up in the middle of the night? And how do you use that time? Do you cry out to God about the things that are going on in your life? So just imagine David the psalmist, I think it was David who wrote this, and he's lying awake and he's got problems in his life. He has enemies in his life. And you may have real enemies or people that are making fun of you or that are ridiculing you, putting you down, criticizing you, or in some way making your life difficult. And so you feel very lonely in this. And an owl is a solitary animal or bird that we never hardly ever see. I think I might have seen an owl once, but I don't think so. But they're in trees, in the woods. We live in the woods. I don't see owls because they're just not out there during the day. And so an owl is lonely, and it kind of symbolizes like a lonely and afflicted person, um, a destitute person, a person who just has some hard things happening in their life. So this may apply to you. I have some things that are hard that have been happening in my life, occasionally coming and cropping back up again. And so these kind of verses are sticking out to me in the last couple months. Um, so it says him, it's talking about David and him and all that. But for our purposes, because my ministry is to you as a woman, I'm going to say that her main concern is that God listens. She starts off saying that um, she's crying to God. She's crying out. Different verses use say crying out, or maybe uses a like different words to describe that. But she's earnestly praying to God for her problem, and she doesn't want her prayers to be unnoticed. I'm sure you don't want your prayer to be unnoticed. And if you're praying like for a child, I'm reading a book that I might share, use like to jump off from that place. But it's talking to moms, and it's talking about crying out to God in prayer for your children, for your children anyhow. But what if you have a child or children that aren't following the Lord? And don't give up, and pray for them, and cry out to God for their prayer. And the psalm doesn't say that God is going to take that enemy or that problem away. It tells us that God is going to listen. And so the owl is in the wilderness, which kind of makes me feel like a wasted uh, place where I'm alone, I'm thirsty, and maybe, yeah, thirsty, wanting, thirsting after the living God. And the sparrow is up on the housetop alone. And so the owls are a nocturnal animal. Women, sometimes as we age, when I was young, I had a terrible time since the time I was a little girl getting to sleep at night, and till I had to take medication for a shadow on my lung because I had been exposed to TB. Didn't have TB, but I had to take that, and the good thing it did for me is that I could sleep at night much easier after that. Who knows what the problem was? So, um, so the psalmist or you can compare yourself to this owl and identify. The owl can put a picture in your mind, and the psalm is a prayer to God. And it might be you might have physical sickness, you may have an illness, well, which is a physical sickness. You may have some kind of enemy, financial, anything. Take it to God, your children, and okay, we don't see the psalmist crying out his complaint to God. It does say somewhere that to cry out your complaint to God, and where complaining isn't a good thing in general. We're to complain to God. That's okay, but He doesn't stay there long. He doesn't keep complaining. He shifts his focus to the Lord, who is listening to his ramblings and his problems, and he trades his anguish of soul of his heart, which doesn't say his problems change. The problems are still there, but he changes that and takes God's mercy, his steadfast love, his mercy, and he trades that for his mercy and steadfast love and grace. He ends up saying, oh, the psalmist says, but you, O Lord, are enthroned forever. You are remembered throughout all generations. You will arise and have pity on Zion. It is the time to favor her. The appointed time has come. So the time has come for God to favor David and come to his special place. His special place is Zion is used for that, I think. So where I started when I did this, I think first did the outline. So I'm going to do it big. I don't use this pen to journal with, but I want you to be able to see what I did. And it might be distorted because I'm doing this, not facing it exactly. So these are the owl's feet. And as you're going to see, hopefully see, they're grabbing onto a branch. And of course, later, if you do this, you can draw it. I mean, color it. So I'll try to draw. I want you to see this. Is that better? And maybe I can't talk while I'm doing this as much. Okay, I'm gonna like stop doing this and get on to the owl before I jump. Okay, so we have a little thing here. I'm copying a picture that's off of Pinterest. It's not like a how to draw thing. And I'm gonna run out of space, I can tell. And now if I would be doing this in pencil, I could like I could erase my lines I just did over, but I'll try this. That's not going to work too well, but that's supposed to be his nose. Okay, so now his eyes, I'm going to do here. This is not like a real drawing, you know, where you'd have like a sketch type of drawing. This is almost like a little cartoon type of thing, which to me is like the best way of drawing things because, and I'm going to drop this page down a little bit. Hopefully I have room to do, okay, not really. But those are supposed to be his ears. If I had more space, and I don't think it's even, but that's okay because I'm kind of doing this at a funny angle to draw. Okay? I think you can see it. You can get the idea because if you're drawing it, and you can see it's not perfect. Okay? I'm happy with it, but it's not perfect. So here's his wings down here. And when I did the one in my Bible, it was like this, where they weren't even. And let me see. Then I'm going to do these little things. I colored, actually, maybe they're supposed to be more like that. But those are like his feathers or whatever they are. This kind of thing makes me get really interested in owls. And then it makes me want to like look it up and Google it and learn about owls. Because in doing that, I'll understand an owl better. I might do that if I get time. And then I understand more about the Bible. Because we kind of live in a society now where we don't know as much about nature. And I'm doing this, and it kind of looks busy with the other, but what I did is that I used different colors to color it in my book. Different, like a darker brown here and here. I'm not going to color it in. I just want you to be able to see and watch me having done this. I hope that that inspires you and encourages you to try drawing. If it seems a little complicated, just pause the video. You can even take your paper, that was the printer paper, put it up to the screen and trace over it. Usually what you do is you start off with a pencil because you can erase it if you don't like it. And then I take a black Prismacolor pen and then I go over that. And then I take Prismacolor pencil crayons and color it in. You can paint it, but I'm like leaning more towards coloring lately. I kind of flip-flop that, but I'm only learning how to paint. So that's what I'm doing. So this is all, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.